Okay, so I have this AMI, and let's go ahead and launch an EC2 instance. I wanted to show you guys something. You guys might have observed this already. So I'm getting a public IP here, right? I'll call this as a web server. Okay, my web server is running, and this is my public IP, right? Look at the public IP carefully, 3.17.204.111. Okay, just keep that.
IPv4.
Yeah. So let's keep that. Let's keep that IPv4 address. This is my IP address of my my web server. Okay, good. So it's up now, right? So now, if I go give this in my Route 53, what happens? It will actively serve my website. My nextsteptraining.com will serve the content. Right? No problem.
Yeah.
Beautiful. The problem is, if I do a instance state, let's say reboot, observe this IP address, okay? So if I reboot this instance for whatever the reason, being an architect, you always have to architect for failure, especially in the cloud environment. Cloud architecting is all about how prepared are you for the failures. So assume that availability zone could go down. Assume that your EC2 instances could go down, because these are multi-tenant. Hardware can fail anytime, and it's nature, right? So you better architect it. So the point is, when something like that happens, Amazon automatically reboots it, and look at your IP address. After reboot is complete, your IP address will be changed, because it will take from Amazon's own pool of IP addresses, right? Every single time. Does that make sense? So my IP could be changed, and when it is, but I don't want my IP to be changed. How can I do that? Well, what you can do
is
DNS. When IP changes, actually in this case DNS also changes. Okay, so your IP changes. Even the public DNS is not guaranteed, so it will change. Does it make sense? So the point is, I want to assign a static IP. This is pulled from a dynamic IP pool from AWS perspective. I want to give a static IP to my EC2. How can I do that? Well, go to EC2 dashboard. Here there is something called elastic IPs. Elastic IP is a static IP. Allocate elastic IP, click on it. You can pick up a static IP from Amazon's pool of IPv4 addresses. Okay. So allocates an elastic IP address by selecting the public IPv4 address pool from which the public IP address is to be allocated. You can have one elastic IP address associated with a running instance at no charge. So if you have your, let's click on allocate, and then it gave you a brand new IP address. Okay. If you assign this public IP, now this is a static IP. This is called elastic IP. So select this one, and then actions, associate this elastic IP to one of the instances. There is only one instance running, which is web server. Now I'm assigning this IP to my web server. Once I associate that, now this will be my IP address of my web server. Go back, observe it, 3.128. Whatever that, 3.128. There you go, 3.128.616.140, and my IP address will not change no matter what. You start tomorrow, and then come back, restart it. You do whatever, because you assign an elastic IP address. Elastic IP is a static IP that you're using it from Amazon's pool of IP addresses, and it will not be changed. And now configure your Route 53 and put this IP address in Route 53. If you do not have a load balancer, if you happen to use only one EC2 instance for whatever the reason, if you have good reasons, there shouldn't be any good reasons, but I'm just saying, if you have anything, then use Elastic IP. Assign your Elastic IP to your EC2 instance. Take that IP address, Elastic IP, and put it in your Route 53, configure it so that every time your EC2 is restarted, rebooted, or not terminated, but stopped and brought back, in all those scenarios, your IP address will not change, because your IP address, that it's a static and it's assigned to it. The only catch here is that if you have a running EC2 instance, Amazon doesn't charge you. But if you do not have any EC2 instance running, and if you have a static, if you pick up an Elastic IP from static pool of IP addresses, then they charge you. So please be mindful of that. I just want to mention that.
Can we do the same thing for the load balancer as well?
I'm getting there. You read my mind. So this is what we did. This is what we did to EC2. Can we do the same thing for application load balancer? For application load balancer, you cannot do that because it's not a single IP. There's a pool of IP addresses, because application load balancer, it span across multiple availability zones, right? It's a managed service. You are using a managed service when it comes to load balancer, meaning you are not doing anything. You are not you are not installing an F5 load balancer on your own or anything. It's just this is a redundant service that lives in every single availability zone. So that's how Amazon manages behind the scenes, and there are a lot of IP addresses. That is why they do not let you assign a static IP.
It's a logical entity, right?
It's they give you a DNS name, the long DNS name, and that's the only way with ALB. But I'm giving you one use case. It came in the exam also, actually in my exam. So what they said is that, hey, I need a static IP. I need an Elastic IP or static IP to my application load balancer, because they gave a good reason also, because I need to share this with my vendor, because my vendor has a IP whitelisting. If I give this DNS, they don't do it. It's a whitelisting is only by IPs. So it's a legacy way of doing it. There's no reason why you want to do that in 2020, but there is a legacy. There are legacy reasons. So they have an IP whitelisting, and they need one IP address, front gate IP address, one or two IP addresses. How can you do that for Elastic application load balancer? You cannot assign directly to application load balancer. It doesn't let you do that. There are a couple of ways. One is you can use the global accelerator. Earlier, remember when we created that application load balancer, it gave you an option called, do you want to create this additional service called, see this one, add-on services, AWS Global Accelerator. Additional AWS services can be integrated here. Create an accelerator to get static IP addresses and improve the performance and availability of your application. What it does is they use something called Anycast, some networking component. So this Anycast concept is that it's they will distribute it across all the, not only availability zones, they have something else called edge servers. So they will distribute these IP addresses to the nearest locations to your consumers. So you will get static IP with using AWS Global Accelerator. If you have it, you can do that. That is one way to do it. The another way to do it is before your application load balancer, put a network load balancer in between. A network load balancer, you can use network load balancer for SSL offloading. Okay. And then network load balancer you'll be able to assign a static IP. One per availability zone you will create it, and then you can assign one static IP for each network load balancer instance, and then you can give these static IPs to your vendor so that they will do a whitelisting. What the network load balancer does is it will forward to the application load balancer, and then in between you write some lambda function. It's a complicated way, but you can achieve it. You can put a network load balancer.
It's one per availability zone, right?
Yeah, I mean you have to create one per availability zone and then do it.
But application load balancer, we can have one per region, right?
This is one per region, but behind the scenes, it is actually distributed across availability zones. Even network load balancer is distributed across multiple availability zones, but when you are assigning a IP address, you want to assign one per availability zone. So the reason load balancer is so resilient is because it's behind the scenes, it's actually distributed across availability zones. Okay. So I know we didn't talk about lambdas, but at some point, take a look at this article. AWS assigning elastic IP to ALB. So there is an article written by Jeff Barr. Yep. Is this the one? I'll find out and send it to you. So essentially, he wrote an article in such a way that you can put an network load balancer in between. I'll send you that. Okay.
Yeah. And one question on AMI.
Yes.
So let's say we created an instance and we added, let's say, 2 EBS volumes to it. And then we configured all the HTTPD and everything to that instance.
Yep.
Let's say instance A. Instance A is with 2 separate EBS volumes in addition to the default RAM memory.
Root device volume.
Let's use the proper term. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Root device one. So now we took the image. We took the backup of the image. So absolutely. Will it come with the 2 EBSs also?
That's correct.
Okay. So so we have the image that has the snapshot of the instance with 2 EBS volumes.
Yep.
And let's say we're going to spin up a new instance with the same image.
Yep.
So the new instance also will have the EBS, 2 EBS.
That's correct.
And
it will actually let you choose it.
Okay. Yeah. Can both instances access the same EBS volume?
No, because understand here, right?
Yeah.
What is happening when you create an AMI is you are taking the EBS volume and creating a snapshot here. Snapshot is just a copy of it. You have a copy somewhere. Okay. Your disk files. From snapshot, when you create an AMI, from AMI, when you create an EC2 instance, it will take these snapshots, create a new EBS volumes and attach to your EC2 instance.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it will be 4 volumes. It will be.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Let's talk about four volumes. What do you mean 4 volumes?
Oh, sorry.
You have a copy snapshots here. From snapshots, you are creating an EBS volume.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it will be separate EBS volumes.
Exactly. Because EBS volume is like an active hard disk, Pradyumna.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
But snapshot is just a copy at that point in time. You put it somewhere.
Right. A virtual copy. Yeah.
You have your copy. You are taking the copy, loading a copy of that into a separate EBS volume. You are not loading that itself. You are loading a copy of that, right?
Yeah, makes sense. Correct. correct, Venkat. That's correct. That makes sense.
So in that case, can we
Thank
detach those volumes from the ones that was already assigned?
AMI, from AMI.
No, from the instance.
From the instance, absolutely. But your snapshots exist. They are already part of AMI. Snapshots are different from.
So yeah, so you have one instance as Pradyumna is telling, right? So you have an instance with 2 volumes, and then based on you have an AMI, and you created another instance with the same 2 volumes. But at that point of time, you may think that, hey, really for the second instance, which I created from the existing AMI, I might need only one. I don't need
you can
those
definitely
2.
select that. Yep.
We can delete one of the volumes, right?
It will actually show you that. It will actually show you when you create an AMI here, right? When I do a launch, it will show me here in this screen. Sorry. This is my AMI. Here it will show me all the volumes that came with that, and then you can choose what to. Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
And speaking of on this topic, right? Since you guys brought up this AMI and snapshots again, so I have one homework for you guys. So the point is, let's say I have an EC2 instance and I created an AMI, and this is in Ohio region. I want to create exact copy of this in Singapore region. How do I do that? Or let me simplify it. I have an EBS volume here. I have an EBS volume here in Ohio region. I want to ship this to Singapore region. I want to attach this guy to, I want to attach this one to an EC2 instance in Singapore. How do I do that? It doesn't have to be exact. Did you get the question? So you have your EBS volume, right? Let's say this photo drive. So what you do is, this is an active volume. When we say EBS volume, this is an active hard disk, right? So first step is to create the snapshot. Okay. So photo snapshot as of whatever this, July 25th. Okay. Something like that. And then create a snapshot. Now I will copy the snapshot. This exists in Ohio region. Now, once the snapshot creation is complete, I will select it, copy the snapshot. When I copy it, okay, when I copy the snapshot, then as part of copy, I can move this to Singapore region. And there from snapshot, again, I'll create an EBS volume and attach to EC2 instance. Did you guys get that? What I'm saying?
Yeah.
From an active hard disk, I took a snapshot there, okay? Now this is my photo snapshot. Now I will copy this guy. When I copy it, it will ask you destination region. From Ohio, I know your snapshot is in Ohio. Where do you want to copy this guy to? Well, I want to copy it in Paris. Yeah.
So we cannot copy without taking snapshot.
That's correct.
Okay.
This is the perfect steps. This is exactly how you do it. And if I'm not wrong, I have a homework for that, and I want you to do that. Let me see if I have an objective there. Understand that additional EBS volumes can be attached to EC2 instance. Understand that EC2 instances and the EBS volumes must be in the same available. Okay, we have that. Understand the steps needed to copy an EBS volume from one region to another region. So you do this one. Understand the difference between Amazon machine image and EBS snapshot. Okay. So do all of these 3 things without fail, and tomorrow itself. Can I count on you guys?
These are in the website.
I will upload it, but they are actually in the website. So what I will do is, let's go to my website, videos, batch 2. Let's go to batch 2, and then here, EBS volumes. click on this one, it will automatically download it. And then also application load balancer, click on this one, you will get both of this one. Get it from batch 2, and please do that tomorrow. Okay, and do this tomorrow, and then I will take a class on Tuesday, hopefully. And I want to finish this auto scaling group, and then we will be kind of wrapping up EC2, and then we'll go on to bigger topics. Like I mean, EC2 is one of the biggest topics, no doubt. After that, we'll talk about S3, VPC, all the fancy stuff. Yeah.
Venkat, one quick question. For when we're taking an image, and it's gonna be at that point of the time, right? Let's say my instance changes, the image is not gonna change, right?
That's correct. Because image is nothing but behind the scenes, it's a snapshot, right?
It's a copy, okay.
It's a snapshot, right?
Yeah.
Rather than taking one volume snapshot, you are taking all the EBS volumes that are attached to EC2 instance, you are copying, you are taking a snapshot of it. And also the mapping, like, what's your EBS mapping? Does it make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So I'll leave it at that. Yeah. Anything? Any feedback? Anything? How are you guys liking it?
Yeah, liking it very good. Liking it very good. But there was one question which you said you would answer offline.
Mm-hmm.
That is, for that AMI, see, suppose you have an EC2 instance with, let's say, 5 EBS volumes.
Yep.
You make an AMI out of that.
Yep.
Okay. Now, from the AMI, when you create another EC2 instance, it will get the 5 volumes. Okay, no problem.
If you want.
Oh, there's choice there?
Absolutely.
I see. Okay,
Absolutely.
Suppose I want. But that's not the point here.
Sure.
The point is, I don't know when it is in the AMI form, it's a snapshot. I cannot go and do a DF or do a LS block and see it. So is it possible to really inspect it in the AMI form, what the specs of that is?
Not really.
So I have to rely on my memory, right?
You have to. Let's take a look at. This is your AMI, right?
Yeah.
So this is your AMI, and then from AMI, by launching it, you will know exactly.
By launching, I'll know. But launching has a cost. So
no, you don't need to launch it, right? You can go to add storage. It will precisely tell you everything, and you don't need to launch it.
Oh, okay.
You don't need to launch it to know. No, it will as part of the configuration, because the AMI is nothing but just a series of steps, right?
So, I think what Shobhan is asking, like if he can inspect what inside that that AMI, like on the Apache, let's say I have a HTML, can I inspect that HTML? That's what.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I get his question.
No, so not the HTML, not at that level. Not at that level, because I want to only inspect the server specs over there. HTML would have been good also.
One second, server spec, then we are kind of, I think we are off track a bit. So what do you mean by server spec? Let's talk about it.
Server spec means, see, AMI will construct a new EC2 instance based on what I had before, right?
No, I can change that. So
you can change that.
No. It's not only I could change it. Oh, it's actually, it's nothing to do with what is my EC2 instance type. It is only all the hard disks. See, I have in front of me right now, I have this, what's this? It's IBM Lenovo, laptop, right? I'll take this, let's say it has 5 hard disks and I'm taking an image of it. Yeah. So my goal is I want to spin up a new exact same image. Now I want to put it on some HP some machine. Does that make sense? Or IBM ThinkPad. Your compute is completely different, right? Where does compute come into picture when you take an image? Let's understand that point. Let's stand there for a second and then understand that to the core. compute does not come into picture when you take an image. Are we clear? The real world scenario. So Shovan wants to take an image of his laptop. Does compute come into picture? And he wants a different machine to be re-imaged. Does compute come into picture there? Definitely not, right? So my initial EC2 instance may be running on M4 X large. When I take an AMI, it doesn't say what my compute is. It's like all the EBS volumes and the corresponding the drive locations, meaning my EBS paths. Dev XVDF, Dev XVDG, all those paths will be noted down in my AMI. And then now,
along with the content of the disks.
Exactly. Because the content of the disks are taken as a snapshot, and then it will note that, okay, this drive has this particular mapping. Okay. Now, when I create a brand new EC2 instance from that AMI, now I can go from M4 X large to T2 micro. Totally. In fact, that doesn't even come into picture also.
Okay.
Because let's bring that to our practical use case on a day-to-day basis. I want to take an image of it. It doesn't mean that my Lenovo, x86, this particular processor, I have to have these many cores. That doesn't come into picture when you talk about image in real life. Understand that.
Okay. Okay, but at least it should be able to tell me that I had 5 drives.
Oh, absolutely, it will tell you.
Okay, but then when I look at the AMI right now, in this form, as you are showing, and right now I won't be able to see it, right?
Exactly. Right now, no. You'll have to launch it and go to this section here. Here it will show you all those volumes that got attached.
Okay, I've got to do it now. Now I've got to really do it.
Yep.
Check it out.
So let's define a nice homework. Okay. Let's define so that it will be absolute clear. So what we will do is let's define a drive one. Let's say we have multiple hard disks, photos in one hard disk, videos in another hard disk.
2 is sufficient actually.
This is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Photos and videos. Okay, your main hard drive, which is primary one, right?
Yeah.
Root device volume.
Yeah.
You have your root device, you have your photos device, you have your videos. So create an EC2 instance. Create an EC2 instance with the following drives.
And then replicate that.
Yeah. This is a step 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now step 2 is create an AMI. Yeah.
And step 3 is create another EC2
create
instance.
A new EC2 instance.
Using that AMI.
Using AMI from number 2. Yeah. From above, using above AMI.
That's enough. Yeah. That's clear.
Right. Let's do this one.
Mm-hmm.
This will give you complete clarity. Agree?
Yeah. I'll do that. I would have done that anyway, but I wanted to just get some advanced information.
Yeah. No, this is good. Okay, guys.
That was the thing. And another thing is, lastly, I would have asked you about, the PPT that you are showing.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that PPT?
Mm-hmm. This one, right?
This one and yesterday's PPT.
This one.
The same one.
Yesterday, what was the traffic? What was the topic? Route 53, right?
Route 53.
Yeah, this one. This one, right? Yeah. So this one is not there. It's let me upload it to where I will upload. I will show you. I will upload resource link here. Okay.
Okay.
EC2 introduction. Yeah. I will upload here. Yeah. I'll do that right now.
Okay. Thanks very much. And we are meeting on Monday. Monday, you said?
So yes, I want you to meet because it's not fair to ask you guys to do the homework now. Right now, it's 12. So can we do to 6:30 to 8:30 tomorrow? I mean, you guys.
Yeah.
I'll be there to kind of kick off. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's guys mention it. And now we are in a real game now. You'll have to do more and more and more practice. It's very important you do that for the exam and for the real life if you really want to take advantage of it. Yeah. Okay, let's talk. Anyone can do tomorrow? By the way, not all people can do any day anyway. So that's why it should never wait for all the people to be there. So all you need is 2 people, right? So I would say show up and practice it. And I'll upload the PowerPoint here.
It's going to be same link, Zoom link? Okay.
Yeah, same Zoom link. You can join. Okay. In fact, I will also join and then make one of you as host and then leave.
Yeah,
and then you guys, yeah. And then you guys can divide it into multiple groups. What's that called? Whatever.
Breakout groups.
Breakout groups, exactly. Thank you.
We are also learning Zoom.
That's a beautiful concept. Yeah. Can this new DN? Yeah. Okay, guys, have a fantastic day. Any other questions? We can talk.
Okay. You too. No problem. No question from my side. Thank you.
So Venkat, a meeting on Tuesday, you said for the S3?
No, before S3, we have to finish the auto scaling. I'm thinking Tuesday at this point, but before that, you have to meet tomorrow because you'll have to finish both EBS and ALB to be in that spot. Do all the exercises that I put it in the homework, and then only you'll be able to appreciate auto scaling group and understand fully. So there is a reason why I push that. I push you guys to do the homework. So I don't take it in any other way. There is a good reason. Okay. Let me stop recording.